fellow students, this is part 2 of our lecture, The Application of Metacognitive Strategies in the Local School System. Again, I am Ms. Patricia E. Robinson, attached to the Center for Education Programs in the Department of Psychology at the University of Trinidad and Tobago Corinth campus. In part 1, we saw the importance of maintaining attention and the need to teach children how to attend, along with activities that can be used. Also, we looked at the factors that we must consider if we wish to enhance our information processing, namely Pivio's dual code theory and Baddeley's loop. I'm sure you remember Baddeley's loop and the scrappy note paper. So today we are going to move a few steps further as we look at the concept of meta-memory, helping our students to gain knowledge and control over their memory. You know, sometimes our memory seems to fail us just when we need it. So let us see how we can control it and teach our children how to control their memories. What we need to remember is when interacting with material, we must know how to make information meaningful. And let's define meaningfulness. The extent to which information in our long-term memory is interconnected with other information. So we are seeing the need to make links, to make associations. But we must note this information must be clear and well understood so that the meaningfulness is maintained. All right? Now, in order for us to ensure that this meaningfulness is maintained, we need to organize the information. Now, when I talk about organization, I am simply referring to the clustering or the grouping or the categorizing of information. Let's think about something that we are all familiar with. The files that we create on our desktop for easy retrieval. That's a form of organization. You know, when you have, if you notice, you have notes all over your desktop and you're looking for it, how difficult it becomes. But when we put notes that are of similar content into files or folders, it becomes extremely easy, right? And this is how we organize our information. Now, let me give you an example. I'm just going to allow you a few moments to take a view. This is a private viewing of how Miss Robinson's brain is organized. Look at it and eat your hearts out, because I would like you to have your brains organized as well as mine. All right? So now that you are convinced that that's how Miss Robinson's brain is organized, we can move on. I can give you some tips, as a matter of fact, how to get your brain so well organized. So let's look at some. The use of charts and matrices. When you're studying, charts and matrices can be very valuable. They are not scrappy notes, because you know what Baddeley said about scrappy notes and the errors that you can make. Look at another example. Models and outlines. So we are using a visual in addition to the auditory. Okay? Another strategy that I would like to introduce to you would be elaboration. When we elaborate material, we make connections again with those well-organized clusters. Think of my brain, the clusters, right? We make connections with them, and therefore information processing is enhanced. All right? So we are going to, what we're really going to do when we elaborate, we enhance the items that need to be remembered with extra information. To do this, we can use some examples and analogies. You know, looking at Egan and Coucher gives us a beautiful example. The circulatory system can be likened to a pumping system that carries blood around our bodies. The veins and arteries are the pipes, and the heart is the pump. So students can make the links with the pumping system at home and the circulatory system. Look at another technique that we can use, mnemonics. These help us to make links with information that is not even really within the content that is being processed, or taught. What these mnemonics allow us, they allow us to recall factual knowledge. Now, for instance, let's say we are talking about the colors in the rainbow. Nowhere are we talking about Roy G. Biv. However, we can use Roy G. Biv to help us to remember the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. For those who are musically minded, we want to learn the notes on the lines of the treble clef. We said, okay, I'm getting mixed up between the lines and the spaces. All right, we can deal with that. E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy deserves favor. So these are all little techniques that we can apply to facilitate our information processing strategies. Another technique would be to conduct frequent reviews. When we are conducting frequent reviews, it means that we are waking up the long-term memory. So what we call this a schema activation of information, where we activate the information, we awake that information from the long-term memory and bring it back to the working memory. So then we can assess what we know and what we are being introduced to right now, and see if we need to embellish, or if we can make a better link, or if we need to modify. So encourage students to ask themselves questions. What are the associations between these topics? How is this information that I am receiving right now different from my previous knowledge? What changes, what modifications do I need to make? Meta comprehension. Our thoughts about comprehension. Now, I am sure when you are studying and you have your notes, your outlines, your matrices, etc. in front of you, even the textbook, you know your work to the best that you can know it. You look away, but sometimes you tend to peep and so. And it is said that you usually overestimate your understanding when these notes and all of these different things are available to you. So what we need to do as teachers is to check students' understanding from time to time. And that's why we spoke about the frequent reviews. Encourage students to read, wait a few minutes, summarize what you just read. Make outlines and summarize the materials in your own words. When you do things in your own words, then we know that you have understood or comprehended the content. Once you are doing things verbatim, we know that there are some gaps. All right? Make connections among ideas. Create visual images based on descriptions read. Again, you are seeing the importance of the dual code processing. Do not rely on one form of processing. Distribute your processing. Right? Write points during instructions that are most important, rather than writing everything that someone is saying. Again, this is important. You have to be selective. All right? If you write everything that you're hearing, more than likely you're not internalizing what you're hearing. And finally, as teachers, you need to model metacognition. Think aloud in the classroom. You are doing a mathematics task. Think aloud while working at it so that your children can observe. Because you would know when you are speaking out or you're reviewing something verbally, you can hear what you are saying and you can check for accuracy. You can check for errors. And you say, all right, I did not understand that. Let me try it again. So think aloud and encourage your students to think aloud. Now, as I close, as usual, I close with a question. Is it possible to use these metacognitive strategies in the classroom, given the press to prepare learners from Standard 1 for the SEA exam, our secondary entrance assessment? I want you to take your time and review the previous questions and this question. And again, I say thank you for listening attentively, and I know that you processed the information presented using your metacognitive strategies. So goodbye and all the best.